Hello, and thank you for taking the next step to future home ownership. My name is Brandon Newman, the owner of American Dream Consulting, and this video is designed to help you better understand our process, what we do and how we do it, and what to expect. After the video, I will be back with you to give you your next step. Enjoy watching, but please don't fall asleep. Three topics: the rent house, the credit, and the approval process. We'll start off at the very beginning. I'll tell you my personal story so you understand why I do this and where I come from and why I'm so passionate about this. And we'll try to wrap it up in about an hour and a half. If you are already in the program and you are in desperate need of a house, don't go nowhere when this thing's over. If you need to move quickly so we can get you on a priority list and get you out with the realtors ASAP. If you're not in the program and you want to sign up for the program, you got more questions, stay in your seats because I think they're going to bring a table in here or we'll get you the proper representation so they can tell you more about it and explain it to you. So real quick story. This thing that's been rolling up here, this particular house was one of our customers that was signed up back in 2007, right before this whole thing went south. Where house was being built, in the process of building it, already approved on an FHA mortgage, and they go to closing, and the mortgage company that they were originally approved for closed their business, because that's what right in the middle of 2008, that's when it went down. It all went down, and it all went down fast. They were approved with a low, about a 540 credit score. Okay, and back then a 540 credit score gets you approved. Needless to say, they went to the closing table to close, and they didn't have a loan anymore. Well, that's when it went straight to 600 credit score in order to get an approval. And then it went to 620. Then it went to 640. So they had sunk about $2,000 worth of earnest money to the builder to have this thing built. They had their 3% down in savings. So here they are with money out and had an approval and no approval. Needless to say, they came to us. Took us about 7 or 8 months to get it all cleaned up, get the scores up to the mid-6s, got them closed, and that's their house. I don't know if this plays a part or how it works itself out, but they were originally approved for a 5.99% interest rate, and they closed at about a 4.75. Was it a blessing? I think so. Because this house was a pretty expensive house, but their house payments with taxes and insurance were less than $1,600. Okay? This was a family of 5. 3 kids, 2 adults, living in a 2-bedroom apartment, paying about $1,400 a month in rent. Okay? One of our success stories, and we get them all the time. We get tons of them. Okay? So I'll start with, let me see if I remember how to close this out, and we'll start with my personal story. And I apologize right now for maybe taking this a little bit longer than normal, okay? We're going to film this tonight so we can publish it on our website, and we do a lot of seminars for people out of state. So this is going to be a login access. So I'm going to try to get to as much information as I can, but as quickly as I can, but I don't want to leave anything out. I'm from here, born here, raised here. I own the company. There are other owners. It's just me. My family was in real estate and construction. I was on the job site when I was a kid, swinging a hammer when I was 12, selling houses when I was 15 and 16 years old. Wanted to go to college. I wanted to be an accountant. I didn't want to be in real estate. I didn't want to be in housing whatsoever. I grew up in it. My dad wanted me to take over the business. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Well, it didn't really matter because in 1987, the stock market crashed for oil, gas, and real estate. Okay, almost like it did 20 years to the day in 2007. Stock market crashed, and along with that stock market crash went any type or chances of my family paying for my college funds. And I was accepted to go to the University of Texas in Austin. That's where I was going to go. So a buddy of mine says, why don't we join the Army Reserve? So I was like, all right, that's cool. We went and talked to the recruiter, and they said, this is the amount of money you get. This is the GI Bill that you get. We'll pay for your college. We'll do it all for you. This is what you got to do. Serve your country. I said, okay, yeah, great, no problem. Where do I sign? So I signed up in 1987, did the boot camp training, did the yearly deals, got my active duty status out of the way, and went to college. and worked. So I had to work. I worked my way pretty much full time, ended up getting married in college, building my first house, had great credit. I knew what credit was all about. I was taught from the word go what great credit was all about. But what I didn't know was in 1990, the end of 1990, I was going to show up to my monthly drill training and get locked down and have 48 hours to get out of school, tell my job, my family that I was going to Desert Storm. That was not in the plans whatsoever. So that happened. They jerked, no kidding. 48 hours later, we were in Fort Hood. 2 weeks later, we were in Iraq. That fast. 6 months later, I was home. When I got home, paperwork wasn't filed properly with the military, so I didn't make any money while I was over there. Well, I had a house, had 2 cars, had a wife that made $7 an hour, and bills. Yeah, I was going to make more overseas than I would have here, so it would have been no problem. The only problem was that the money didn't get transferred. So I lost everything. Everything I had. From a 780 to a 480, like that. And there wasn't anything anybody could do about it. Nothing. So I filed bankruptcy, Chapter 13, turned into a Chapter 7, foreclosure, repossession, collections, you name it. If it was possible to have it on your credit report, I had it. Okay? I have people come into this program all the time, embarrassed, thinking, my credit's really bad. I don't want you to look at it. I got news for you. I'll put my credit report at that time up against anybody's. I had it all. 2 bankruptcies, foreclosures, repossessions, $50,000 in collections, medical debts, you name it, I had it all. Okay? So what happened was I ended up not going back to school. Okay? I went and started selling houses. Because that's what I knew, and that's, after being angry and trying to blame everybody, trying to figure out how to get this mess cleaned up, there was absolutely nothing that I could do. So I started selling houses, and in the meantime, I had actually went to TRW, which is Experian. It sits in Allen, Texas, off 75. Okay, that's where TRW, just to give you a little history, was the very first national credit reporting agency that was legitimate. I don't know if you guys know this, but the welcome wagon party that used to come around, this was way back in the olden days, the welcome party wagon that would come and welcome you to a neighborhood or to a community, they were there to collect data on who you were, what your status was, what your ethnicity was, where you worked, and all those things. And believe it or not, they would take that information and put it into a system, and that's how old bankers used to do their work in investigating on who to give money to or who to give an account to. But they would go to this data source that was collected by what was called the welcome wagon. So type of credit reporting has been around for a lot longer than the early 70s. But I drove down to TRW and actually met with a counselor. And you can't do that anymore. I actually got into TRW and sat down at someone's desk. The lady pulled my credit and said, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, I understand what your problem is, but from our side, there's really nothing that we can do for you. Here's what you're going to have to do. Here are the steps you can take to help clean up your credit. Well, with that information I took along to help my own personal credit history, I ended up taking all that information that I knew and how to work with and helping my customers. And this all started really back in 1991. And that's where it's kind of evolved from there. American Dream Consulting has been around for a long time. And the only reason that I've got it and I exist today is because of my own personal story, what happened to me. I thought I had everything, and literally in 6 months it was completely taken away from me. And in the process of building my own credit back up and learning how to repair my own credit and learning all the ins and outs of what it was to help myself, I used that information to help my customers because I was selling homes. And I don't know if any of y'all been around long enough to remember the high interest rates in the 80s and early 90s. I mean, house rates today are in the 4s. Back then, anybody remember 22% interest rates on houses? Yeah. Okay, well, it was in the teens when I was selling houses in the early 90s. Well, if you could get somebody's credit score up a few points, you could get them down around 9 or 10%. That was a lot of money. So that's kind of how this thing really got started. And it really took off a few years later and became what it is today, where we have everything. And there's not a state out there that we can't go to. Your credit exists no matter where you are. Okay, so the credit repair part of it, this deal, and we're going to talk real extensively about that, it goes with you everywhere. I don't care what state you live in. The mortgage part of it, one of our major partners as far as the mortgage end of it goes is Chase Bank. JP Chase Morgan is one of the largest mortgage companies in the world, much less in the United States. Okay, so we also have affiliations with a lot of other mortgage companies and a lot of other mortgage reps, but there is not a town or a city or a state that you can go to if you're in this program to where we can't help you get an approval. As far as the real estate goes, we are a real estate brokerage company. We have a management company. Danny runs that management company. You met him just a while ago. We can rent any house, anywhere, anytime, any state. We can sell any house, anywhere, anytime through our partnership program. We don't have a real estate license in all 50 states, but we are partnered with about 150 different real estate offices across the country. Okay? So we extend in all 50 states. So there's nowhere and nobody that we cannot help. Okay? Even if you start here and you end up in Washington, or you start here and you end up in Ohio, it doesn't matter. If your job transfers you anywhere, we can still take care of everything that you need right here. Okay, now if we've got a place to where you can go in a city where you're going to be, more than welcome to go through that office, no problem at all. But we can help anybody, anywhere, anytime. Okay, so I'm going to say some things throughout this process. I'm going to say, I get it. I understand what I understand what it's like to get a collection call at your work. I understand what it's like to get woken up early in the morning. I understand what it's like to get harassed. I understand what it's like to be threatened. Okay? I know how many days you can go before they turn your electricity off. Okay? I know what it's like to tell somebody, go ahead, stick it on my credit. It can't get any worse. Okay? I've been there, done that for a long time. It took 6 years. 6 years to fix the credit that I destroyed. It takes about a year now. Okay? The manual that I was given to fix my own credit was about 3 pages thick.